Welcome to another episode of the Orange Report with Kira Davis. I am your host, Kira Davis, and you can find me on X at Kira Davis or on Instagram at just Kira Davis, JUST Kira Davis. And of course, we're broadcasting right now as the Orange Report. That is Orange Report OC across the relevant socials, and this is the show with all the news and views you can use from around California and Orange County. As I say all the time, I'm merging these brands, so yeah, that's what we're doing here. Let me retweet. All right, well, I'm just gonna pin this to the top here. Boom, done. We've got a lot to talk about today, California-wise, national-wise. I just got back from CPAC. I got on yesterday. I got on the line and just did like a brief breakdown of CPAC. I'm going to do something written on my Substack. That's just kiradavis.com. You can go over there and find that. But yeah, CPAC was weird. So, and then I had a weird experience coming back through the airports that is going viral. So I'm going to break that down for you. I'm going to explain it to you, everything that happened. And Kristi Noem's husband is gay, I guess. That's a thing that's happening today. I don't know what timeline we're in. This is the craziest timeline, but it's been an open secret. I just want to talk. This isn't California news, but I do want to talk about this for a second. It's been an open secret that Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski have had a relationship. It's pretty open on the Hill. She's never addressed it. He's never addressed it, but they hang out. They take pictures together. I think they live together. It's an open secret. Now, a lot of people she never addressed it, just kind of look at her as like, okay, just another floozy going to the Hill. And, she's had her whole glow up, her whole transformation. And I was talking to my husband about this. And at the time I said, I feel like this happens to a lot of women who go into the swamp without their families. The swamp is swampy. You're away from home. It's very glamorous. It's like the entertainment industry, but for ugly people, as they say about politics. But it's glamorous. There's parties. It's easy to get caught up. You leave your little life and you come to this big life. And, all of our lives have things that are missing and dreams that are broken. And, you get there and you're separated from your spouse. It happens is what I'm saying. And I don't even find it to be malicious all the time. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just people struggling to find out, what their place is. Scott, are you hearing an echo at all? I don't have my echo cancellation on. I just realized that. Okay, good. And I thought maybe she just was in a lonely marriage and, and that maybe this would sort of play out or fade out. And when she lost her job, she'd end up going back home. But there was more to the story, right? And I think to some extent, perhaps she should be commended for not, busting out her husband, even though she was made to seem like the hussy, the floozy. And I'm not saying she's right for taking on an affair, but what I am saying is that, what goes on in a marriage is very private. You just don't know. And, maybe people shouldn't judge her too harshly. However, I will say this, probably a bad idea to put her in charge of DHS. That is a real security risk. That's a real national security risk. One of the reasons why you have to go through all the hearings, and if you run for higher office, the government's in your stuff, right? They go through all of your financials. You got to give them all your tax returns for the last 20 years. Even your campaign managers will dig deep. They'll do a deep dive into your personal life, not to be nosy, just to see what's in there that could be used against you. There's a reason for that, because foreign entities come into our homeland or contact people in charge of our homeland and use those circumstances in our private lives to bribe us. And, for some people, the destruction of their personal reputation is worth more than the destruction of their country for a lot of people. So I can't believe that she was DHS secretary for so long. And so perhaps this makes a little more sense as to why they let her go and just let her be a special envoy. I have no idea how this works out for her and Corey Lewandowski. It doesn't mean much to us right now, as she is no longer in charge of one of the most important agencies in the country. But it is an interesting development, and I think there are a lot of women in the swamp like this who maybe got into politics because their lives were lonely. And, the swamp creates a community, I guess. So I don't know, girl. Best of luck to you. That's all I can say. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here today. It's a lot going on. I'm going to start with, well, here's a big one. Let's do number one, Scott. SCOTUS ruling today against gender therapy bans. This is a big one, you guys. So a lot of people might not know this, but I'm using air quotes here, gender conversion therapy has been banned across the United States, in many states. California, here in California, of course, Colorado, of course, is one. And it's been spreading, and it's very cleverly named, just like gender transition or gender affirming care. It's very clever, or trans women. It's cleverly named to obscure what it really means. But gender therapy ban is banning the use of any therapy outside of affirming therapy. So if a child comes in with gender dysphoria, the counselor is not allowed to dig into that dysphoria and provide a way out of it. They're not allowed to counsel a child out of their dysphoria. They can only affirm. And you can get fired, you can lose your license, you can be fined, you can have a misdemeanor on your record. It's been terrible. And one counselor in Colorado launched a lawsuit, and the Thomas More Society, I'm just going to read this, Scott, so you can leave it here. The Thomas More Society was representing this case, and they posted today, SCOTUS is in session, and they're releasing judgments. A federal court has ordered California to pay $4.52 million in attorney's fees in Marabella versus Bonta, a landmark parental rights case. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not the case I wanted to read, but let's talk about it because they're related, actually. Of concealing rights case challenging California's policy of concealing children's gender transition from parents. Okay, this is why I have this on my list, because it actually does matter what SCOTUS did today for this case, Marabelli versus Bonta. A $4.5 million fee award sends an unmistakable message to the state governments and school districts across the country. If you trample on the constitutional rights of parents, you will have to pay for it, literally. In an 8-page order, Judge Barrett granted the full fee petition and placed the blame squarely on California's own litigation strategy. Okay, you can let go of that. And I'm sorry, I didn't pull up the right link for this, but it matters because the gender industry is going down. The SCOTUS ruling today about gender dysphoria and about the bans against conversion therapy being unconstitutional, that is directly connected to this idea of parental rights here in California. We've been battling that for a long time. Last week, you saw Brenda Lebsack on this show, a school board trustee and a former teacher and an advocate. She ran for school board to be a whistleblower. That's why she ran. And she is blowing the whistle. She's not being quiet. She's blowing the whistle. Please go watch that interview. Please find Brenda Lebsack. You can find her at Brenda4kids, .com or .org. But she talked about how all of these secret things are going on in our public schools. We have a 3-year-old on a gender transition plan here in Orange County Public Schools. Besides that, parents have been asking for school boards, their trustees, to give them some kind of protection by instituting a parental rights notification policy within the district. Okay, fine, we can't change the state law, but we can tell parents that this is happening. That's what Mirabelli versus Bonta was. And kids are getting transitioned. Don't believe anybody who tells you that this is not really happening or it's one or two kids. Again, go watch Brenda. In Orange County schools alone, in Orange County public schools, we have 1,200 kids on gender transition plans. 1,200, one as young as 3. So the SCOTUS decision today about the conversion therapy, also SCOTUS decision regarding gender affirming surgery, mutilation surgery, and also this Mirabelli versus Bonta. This is setting up chaotic but necessary time. The gender industry is going to go down, but this is going to take out some hospitals, people. $4.5 million judgment. That's one woman. And by the way, who pays for that? Is Rob Bonta paying for it? No, California is paying for it, even as Governor Newsom is out there advocating for more taxes, advocating for more money to go in this high-speed rail to nowhere, this bridge to nowhere. This is all related. By the way, the SCOTUS decision about the conversion therapy, that judgment was 8-1. Can you guess which judge dissented? Miss What is a Woman? How do we impeach that woman? That person that's not a judge. I'm not even sure that person qualifies as a thinking human being. The fact that they are on the Supreme Court for life is a travesty. And I do believe there's probably some things in there, if the government were willing to dig around a little bit, that are impeachable. I do believe actually some leaks are coming from her office. That should be impeachable. Feels like this is something we can get done if we have the will. And I think this president has proven he has the will to do a lot of uncomfortable things. Look, the Iran war is not popular. It's not. And the polls are reflecting that. But sometimes you do the things that are right. This president understands that there is a global caliphate. He is setting us up to be able to protect ourselves from the rest of the world, because Islam has infected the rest of the world. That mass global immigration policy, that was everywhere. And that was war. And we're only now just waking up to it. In America, we have a slim chance of being it back, a slim chance, because they're already here and spreading. But we can no longer talk about this as if it is theoretical, or as if this is just a matter of being kind to people and accepting them into our society. Actually, multiculturalism has been a disaster. I am not in favor of it. I think it's evil, and I think we need to speak against it. The multicultural agenda has been a disaster. There is one culture in America, and that's American culture. It encompasses a lot of things. And it allows for a lot of expressions. But we are not obligated to honor all of these expressions, because there is American culture and there is everything else. Now's a good time to talk about what I went through when I was coming through Dallas on the way back from CPAC. I got there very early to DFW, and let's see, which cut is that? Scott, you can just put it up there and let it play while I talk. But I got there very early. I had like 6 hours. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to visit airport chapels. A lot of people don't know that your airports have chapels. And when I found that out many years ago, I made it my mission to go to each one, and they have sign-in books, and I like to read the notes that people leave. And sometimes I take pictures of the prayer requests. And over the years, the chapels have disappeared from our airports. But I still look. Dallas, the last time I checked about 5 or 6 years ago, they were all gone. There was zero. They pull them out, or they either leave them outside the terminal. And so Dallas now has 3, and I thought that's cool. So I'm going to visit all 3 in this airport, but they were not chapels. They were mosques. The first one I went to was empty, but it felt very Muslim, and there were prayer rugs everywhere and Muslim imagery on the wall, one little Christian prayer bench, like for the Catholics, and a few Bibles, but really it felt Muslim. And then I didn't stay, and I went to the second one. And the second one, when I went in there was a gentleman. You can take this off now, Scott. There was a gentleman in there. He was an employee. He had his employee vest on, like he worked on the tarmac or something, and he had his shoes off. I guess Muslims take their shoes off to pray. But he wasn't praying. He was just sitting in the room on his phone. He was actually watching a video out loud. Violation number 1, deportation immediately. He's watching a video on his phone in this chapel. The chapel is empty. These chapels typically are. Most people don't know they're there. So I went in, and when I went in, I said, "Oh, hello." I spoke out loud thinking he would turn his phone down when I walked in the room, understanding that this is an interfaith chapel. I'll get to that in a minute. But he did not. And he was clearly annoyed that I was there, but I sat and I prayed, and then he kept his phone on. And so I just started reading the Bible out loud. I actually just started saying the Lord's Prayer, reading the Bible. And I thought he was on a break and he might leave, but he waited. And so he was there for, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And another gentleman came in and joined him. And then they had a very heated conversation. I could tell it was about me. And I heard English words. It was in Arabic. I heard English words like Islam, Palm Sunday, and Mecca or something like that. But it wasn't the words that they said. It was just the energy. It was aggressive. And then so then they both sat down and they both decided, I could tell they were just going to wait. They're going to wait to see if I finished. And I think it was at that moment I was determined to not leave. I said, I'm not leaving this space. There's only one religion, folks. That the idea of having a chapel anywhere, an interfaith chapel, is an abomination. A chapel, there is only one religion that uses chapels. Jews don't use chapels. Muslims don't use chapels. Christians use chapels. That's why we have them in airports. It's really for the Christian nation that is traveling in and out of the airports. That's what it is. It's a marker of God's territory in our airports. And I think it's an appropriate place to have a chapel when people go through and they're nervous. Many are on their way to see family after tragedy, that kind of stuff. On their way to military deployments, a chapel is a good thing. An interfaith chapel is an abomination. We should not be worshiping next to Muslims. That's an abomination to God. So and by the way, Jews don't use the interfaith chapels. They get their business done elsewhere on their own time. And even if they did, I know I would never have any problems with them. I've never had any problems worshiping in public with Jews. Never. And maybe they don't like it. I get that. Maybe they don't respect my faith. They don't like my faith. I get that. I'm not ignorant of it. But I do know that they understand the culture that they're in, the majority culture that they're in. And most Jews that I know respect Christian domination of Western culture because it's led to a lot of prosperity. And as long as we're all living together, it's fine. But we do have a common enemy, and it is Islam. It is. And they take over the spaces they're in. They don't share them. And that's what happened to me in Dallas. They weren't going to share it. I was sharing. I was going to share. I was sitting there quietly praying and minding my own business. And then I figured, you know what? These guys work here. They both were employees. I'm here on a 6-hour layover. I got time. They got to go back to work. So I sat there and prayed, and then they eventually got up and did their prayers. Now, I've seen enough Muslim prayers to know that it's about a 5-minute prayer. They did it a lot longer, and they did it out loud and loudly. And I still prayed. And then they sat back down. One gentleman left, and the other gentleman who was originally there turned his phone back on and started watching whatever he was watching on his phone. So I started praying out loud. I got a little emotional because it was Palm Sunday, and I was thinking about some situations in my life. I think I heard him laughing at me. I don't know, but I think I heard him laughing when I was weeping a little bit as I was praying to Jesus. No matter, I still stayed there, and I could tell he was getting antsy. And then another gentleman came in, and when he came in, he stood up, said some words to him. That other gentleman was clearly surprised to see me too. Gave him his prayer rug. That guy put his prayer rug. So that happened 2 or 3 times. None would leave until another came in. There was one gentleman, I will say, who was a traveler. He clearly was traveling through the airport, just coming in to do his prayers. He was fine. He came in, he did his prayers. He was quiet. He didn't make a fuss. He did his prayers quietly. And he did them quickly. I think he was not even 2 minutes and folded up the prayer rug and left. Like, that was a thing that happened. He didn't say anything to anyone and didn't even say anything to me. When he left, a Christian woman came in. I was very relieved, but she only prayed for a couple minutes and left. And then a couple more came in. And I just said to myself, I don't know what time of day it is or what's going on, but I'm just going to sit here until they go. And I know, like, I'm not going to outweigh everyone. Like, I know I got to go. I know more will be coming in. I get that. But just something in me wouldn't let me leave. And I was scared. If you go to your airport chapel, you'll see they're tucked away, hallways in hallways. Sometimes it's a maze to find them. They're tucked away. And I don't know if they're monitored. I didn't see cameras in there, but there was a moment where I was wondering if I should leave. But I'm a proud woman and I'm a daughter of the King, and I cannot tolerate other claims to his kingdom. I will not tolerate it. And I think we've been tolerating it for too long. And I think it's time that Christians stake out ground, because the Muslims are staking out ground and they're taking ground, and they're using our Constitution and our kindness to do it. We have a problem here. We have a real problem. And it's compounded by the fact that most of our major airports are staffed almost exclusively by Muslims. And you ask yourself what would happen if somebody pulled a trigger while you were traveling through the airport and said, you know what, let's cause some chaos for American travelers. We own the airport system now. It's very serious. It's actually very serious. I encourage you to go follow some Christian accounts on Instagram or X from Texas. People from Texas are fighting against this. Plano is overrun. Dearborn, Michigan is overrun. They're now owned by Muslims. You understand? They're not our friends, and no Muslim thinks they're our friends either. That's why I'm not afraid to talk like this. Muslims agree with me. They're not going around saying we want to live peacefully with Christians and Jews. They don't believe that. The most they'll tell you, you can go to my thread right now and you can see all of I've been blocking people, by the way, because a lot of these lunatics scare me. But you can go and you can see, and a lot of the replies are, they weren't bothering you, or you're making that up, or Christians just need to deal with the fact that we're here and nobody cares about you. Nobody cared about what you were doing in there. But they know that's not true, and I know that's not true. What they don't say is we want to live in peace with Christians. You guys mistake us. You guys misunderstand us. They don't say it because they know it's not true. Christians, there are time for lambs and there are time for lions, and this is a time for lions. We are not just battling fraud. We are not just battling overseas enemies. We are battling Islam. We are battling for the soul of this nation. And you can tell me, well, Kira, this is not a Christian nation. And there's a lot of arguments to be made on either side about what the founding fathers believed, what they were doing. We have a lot of, Freemason symbolism and a lot of our stuff. What does all that mean? And I'm here to tell you, if we say we're a Christian nation, we're a Christian nation. Sometimes the people who lead us are not Christians. Sometimes the people who have influence are not Christians. Maybe even some of the people who set up this nation were not Christians. But we are a Christian nation if we say so, because Christians can claim any territory. We can claim any territory under the cross. It is all God's. And America has prospered under the flag of Christianity, under the flag of Christ. The evidence is there. So now is a time for lions. The time for lambs is over. I don't know why I, a woman, have to be the person to do this, to sit there in the face of Muslim men and feel uncomfortable and feel unwelcome in my own space, in a chapel. There is no such thing as an interfaith space, and should not be. And I don't think even Muslims you can't go to a Muslim mosque, as if there's any other kind. You can't go to a mosque with your Bible and pray with them there. Christians, especially the Catholics, I don't know what's wrong with y'all, but a lot of the Catholics invite the Muslims in, and you know what they do? They plant flags. They're not going to worship with you. They're going to take over your space. And when you invite them in, they see that as capitulation. Stop. Stop. There was a compass on the wall so you could point to Mecca, but not a cross in the chapel. In the chapel in Texas. Every hospital has a chapel. Most airports have chapels. I think this is interesting that until years ago, I was watching all of these chapels disappear, and now they're coming back. Isn't that interesting? Why? For the Christians, not what I saw in Dallas. There's 3. I didn't get to the 3rd. There's 3. Someone came on my thread and told me there's 5. There's not. There's 3, and you can go to the information kiosk. I actually took a picture of it. Terminal D, Terminal E, and Terminal B. There's 3. But when I went there, I can't remember, years ago, there was 0. Last time I went through Houston, 4 years ago in Houston, there was 1. Last time I went through Houston, it had been moved to outside the terminal. That's another thing they do. That's a compromise they make. It's because the Muslims don't want to see Christian stuff where they work. And they all work in our airports. I know these are conversations that are really uncomfortable to have, and it gets you labeled as a racist and a bigot. But at this point, you know, it is what it is. In coming back from CPAC, I will say this. I found it to be very disturbing as well, because even at CPAC, the foreign presence was out of control. We were probably numbered by foreigners at CPAC this year, 2-1. I know the press was. I've never seen so much foreign press at CPAC, and I've been there almost every year for 15 years, almost. I've never seen the foreign press like that. And not that they're combative or aggressive, nothing like that. And none of them seemed to be hostile. There were some hostile press there, but they were ours. You know, CNN was there, but foreign press, no, it wasn't a lot of hostile press there. A lot of foreigners, a lot of Iranians there. And you know what? The CPAC crowd wasn't really that happy with them. They really weren't. I don't, by the way, I heard Mercedes Schlapp say that it's very divided. The support for the Iranian war was very divided at CPAC. I didn't see that. And I don't understand what she saw. I don't understand how she saw it, because the Schlapps were MIA almost the whole time. They stayed in their back room, VIP rooms, and green rooms. They didn't mix and mingle. None of the VIPs did. There was no place to do it. So I don't know what she thinks she saw, but I was on the ground with the normies out there all week. And no, it wasn't like that at all. But what people didn't like people are very supportive of freedom. We're conservatives. We're liberty minded. We were happy to see Iranians happy, but a lot of them were carrying around their Islamic Republic flags. And that's very uncomfortable to see at CPAC, no matter what's going on in their country. Some of them were carrying American and Israeli flags as well. Those people felt a little more comfortable, and I think they got the vibe. They read the room, and they did the right thing. But the Iranians were loud. They were aggressive. We didn't really understand a lot of what they were chanting and saying. They were making a lot of noise. They're not the only ones. It happens every year. There's a group. Every year there's a big political group. You know, whatever is going on, that group comes to CPAC, and they're the superstars, and it's super fun. And last year it was J6ers. Before that, it was Loudoun County parents. I've seen all kinds of causes come and go, and cause celebs come and go. But it just was, it was a weird vibe. It was a foreign vibe. It was a foreign vibe. It really was. It made me, when I heard Mercedes talk about this division in the crowd over the Iranian war, it made me even more suspicious, because I thought, wow, there's so much foreign influence here. And she is giving this point of view that isn't representative of what's happening among conservatives on the ground. I don't know what's wrong over there, but something's gone wrong. And I don't know that CPAC is a gathering place for conservatives at this moment. Not what I saw. So that, combined with my experience moving through DFW, and by the way, I waited to post that. I sent the video to a couple of friends, and we were just gossiping back and forth. But I was like, I'm not going to post this until I touch down in Orange County, because these people, almost all of them were airport employees. Again, the only man who didn't act like he owned the place was the guy who was the traveler, who was clearly just in there between flights. Came, did his business, left, didn't mind me at all. It just is. And here in California, we're now considering, we're trying to add Ramadan to the list of state holidays. Bad move. Muslims don't want to live in peace with us. You ask them. Nobody asks them. That's the thing. Nobody asks them because you've been trained to feel it's offensive to ask them. And you've been trained to feel it's offensive to ask them because they know if they tell you the truth, you're going to feel differently about their presence here. But you should just start asking. I want to move on, but I do want to tell people, I want to challenge you. Start staking the ground. If you're a Christian, start staking ground. Start praying in public. Start asking that your public schools put the 10 Commandments and Bibles in school. Yep. Go to school and pray. Pray on the school grounds. Pray. I had a friend, my friend Patsy and I. Hi, Patsy. When I was running for school board, we would go over to the school district and pray in the parking lot. We walk around the parking lot and pray over the school district. Pray over the kids. Pray over my election. I lost. And I know some people will say, oh, well, God didn't answer your prayer. No, he did answer my prayer. It just wasn't the answer that I wanted at the time. But he did answer my prayer. Pray without ceasing. Go and find your airport chapels when you're traveling. Not every airport has one, but it's kind of now like a Pokemon Go quest for me. You can go to the airport information kiosks. They all have them now. Most are digital, but they also have information attendants, docents, if you will. And they are there to help you. They're there to help you navigate around the airport. And I will stop and ask them. Almost to a person, they are shocked when you ask where the chapel is. And a lot of them don't even know. So a lot of them, even if they tell me there's no chapel here, I'll just go look on the information kiosk myself. And almost always there is if they say not. But I encourage you, if you have a few minutes between flights, sometimes you're going to have to travel to another terminal. They're not always in your terminal, but if you have some time, it's a good way to waste time. Go in there and pray. And if you have a cross, if you have a Bible that you can spare, leave it. Leave it. And leave a comment in the name of Jesus. I just think we need to start staking out ground, folks. I guess I do sound crazy to some people who don't know what's going on, but at 51, I couldn't care less. Like, I don't have the ability to care any less than I do right now. Okay, let's go to number 2. This is interesting. No more small business association loans. This is a big one for California. This is a big one. Again, this is all connected. This goes back to our immigration problem. This goes back to the border issue. This is why this is a holistic approach, folks. It's not just about closing the border. It's not just about stopping the fraud. It's about all of it working together at the same time. This is why it's a really unique time to be alive. Since from Cal Matters, green card holders no longer qualify for loans from the Small Business Administration, eliminating a longtime source of financing for immigrants that advocates say will discourage job creation and harm the economy. What advocates? Who out there knew that foreigners were getting small business loans? When you walk around your city and you see the amount of foreigners who own corner store gas stations, 7-Elevens, all the grocery stores, all the things that we used to own, and you wonder how do they, my family and I are working our whole lives to be able to own something here. How do they come here and own something in a year? They're getting your tax dollars. They're getting your tax dollars and your programs to open their businesses that don't benefit you. They send that money back home, or a lot of them funnel that money into terrorist networks. What an abomination that we have been funding this for so long. And have any of you applied for small business loans and been rejected, Americans? Now's a good time to look back and find out. California, which, shocker, shocker, has the most small business most small businesses and the largest immigrant population in the nation, and I will add the largest illegal immigrant population in the nation, could be most affected. My commentary should be most affected. SBA loans have been important to entrepreneurs, immigrant entrepreneurs, because typically they're low interest and available to those without an established credit history. You know what? If you move here to open a business, you should be paying taxes for 5 to 10 years before you're allowed to do that. I don't think you should be allowed to move here and open a business. You know, in Portugal or the EU, they do it a little different. They're so desperate for cash and they've welcomed so many third world losers that they need taxpayers there. So they actually have a program where if you want to open a business, you'll get what is called a golden visa over there. They've added some more restrictions because a lot of Canadians are coming over there to do that because Canada sucks so much. And guess what? Canadians suck and Europeans hate Canadians because Canadians suck. And no, they really are the worst. And so, you know, other countries do it, but we don't need to do it. And furthermore, I don't think we should do it. No, I don't want to deny immigrants the right to have businesses, legal immigrants, right? We have a lot. I live in South Orange County. We have a lot of Asian immigrants who have opened businesses that are really a part of the community, and we love them and we frequent them, and they are contributors to the community. They're supporters of the community. Oftentimes, legal immigrants come here. I'm one myself, and they work harder than Americans. So I don't want to deny legal immigrants the chance at the American dream, but I do think you have to contribute to the American dream if you're not from here before you take out of it. And so I think some kind of moratorium on owning a business here would be good. If you're not set up already, we're not giving you our money to get set up. That's ridiculous. Why we've been doing it this long is just perplexing. The agency also backed loans by private funders, providing a government guarantee for people banks might deem riskier. Now all those loans are off the table for owners and would-be owners of restaurants, bake shops, law practices, medical clinics, right? All the engineers, all the illegal immigrant engineers and doctors that are coming over, medical clinics, taxi medallions, nail salons, and more who hold green cards. Okay, well, maybe we can make an exception for our nail salon people. Interesting story behind nail salons. They're largely just generally Asian now, but back in the day, nail technicians were mostly Vietnamese, and it is because I can't remember, but I think was Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren, famous actress from the 50s, was shooting a movie in Vietnam, and she wanted to have her nails done, but she could not bring her nail. Back then, ladies really having nails done was not a real big thing. We didn't have nail salons. We had salons, and maybe you would have someone who would help with your nails, or you would bring someone to the house, but it wasn't what it is now. She didn't know what to do. So she, as I think the story goes, she brought over one of her nail ladies and had her train a group of Vietnamese nail technicians to learn. And then that just spread. Then they established a school there, and a lot of those people came over to do it, and then boom, established these businesses. Isn't that a fun story? Kind of a fun story. That's a cultural exchange. That's an immigration success story, right? The Americans had a need. These people who also had a need to live in a different country and become part of the American dream were able to combine those things, work together for all of us. Works for me. All right, keep going. Small business owners are responsible for 99% of net new jobs in the state. That's right. So Cal Matters, you didn't seem to give a flying flip when Governor Newsom shut them all down but left his wineries open. You guys go screw yourselves. I'm so sick of this. I am so sick of this. You absolute demons. I'm sick of the hypocrisy. I'm sick of the idea we're supposed to sit back and pretend that these people weren't complete traitors. You don't care about small businesses. Again, even this Cal Matters story, they're not telling you this story from the position of the American small business owner. They're asking you to feel sorry for the foreign small business owner. But the foreign small business owners were out on the street selling their tacos and tamales in their makeshift carts right in front of the small businesses that our government shut down. This should make everybody mad, especially you cow matters, you absolute cowards. Cowards. Can't even form my words right. Immigrant entrepreneurs make up 40% of the state's business community. Well, that's not good. And generated $28.4 billion of income in 2023. Also not good. Tell us where the money goes. How matters that being interesting? Now, I already know where it goes because other entities have already done this research. And about 80% of funds earned by immigrants, illegal or otherwise, go back to other countries. This is why the Trump administration is working to shut down wire transfer. That's why. That'll help a lot. That'll help a lot. Small Business Majority, a national business advocacy group, wrote to the SBA in mid-March, urging the federal agency to reconsider the changes. The letter was signed by dozens of state and national groups and chambers of commerce. You guys didn't do one damn thing for the mom and pop shops that you can take this off. I'm done with these people. I'm done with this article. You guys didn't do one damn thing for the mom and pop shops that got shut down and tortured and fined and have gone out of business. By the way, I was looking at Instagram earlier. My friend Tanya, she's highly Jewish on Instagram. Some of you might be a big fan of hers. I guess she has a big following. Just met her through a friend. She's super cool. She's running for council in WeHo. If you're in WeHo, you should definitely follow Tanya, highly Jewish. But she just did a little post today on her Instagram feed, and she was talking about how one of the big, one of the traditional, one of the most beloved restaurants in Beverly Hills was closing down. And that's one of many stories in Los Angeles. Kohl's is closing down, like great sandwiches, coleslaw over there. A lot of our landmarks in Southern California are closing, but particularly in Los Angeles. Not only could they barely make it through COVID, a lot didn't. The ones that survived, then when they made it through COVID, they still had to go pay their fines. And then they were treated to an absurd rise in minimum wage from, whatever. Well, I think it was 10, and now it's something at 15 point something. But for the restaurant industry, it's higher. And for the fast food industry, it's $20 an hour. So if you come to California and you wonder why you go to McDonald's and it's all kiosks and automated, that's why. That's why. So these people, you want to complain about the foreigners not getting our money, not getting our services, but you had no energy for the small business owner who lost everything during the pandemic and for nothing. So done with I am so done with all of this. Like, give me my pitchfork, really. And go ahead and lecture me. Please put your comments in the thread. Go ahead and lecture me about I'm not a good Christian. I'm a bad Christian. No, I'm a good Christian because I've been reading my Bible and I've been a student of history. And I do know that flipping over tables is an option for people in this family. And I'm at the flipping tables point. I thought I was there during COVID. Got a little respite when we elected Trump, but now I realize how bad everything really is and the work we have to do. And if you're wondering, you go, Kira, it's too late. How are we going to do this? Trump can't deport 30 million people in 4 years. How do we get rid of, Muslims are already on their city councils in Dearborn. How do we no, we can, and we'll do it with you. That's the way we'll do it. It's not going to be one man doing it. It's not even going to be one Congress doing it. As you've seen, we'll talk about them in a minute. As you've seen, they went on break to leave us all to suffer. Screw all those people. I saw Ted Cruz, I saw Ted Cruz at CPAC. And I also just saw TMZ, float a picture of him somewhere in Florida. Ted Cruz, you don't get any mercy too. Screw all of you. No more. I like you, Ted, but no mercy for you. Go sit in Congress until you guys get your job done. Go sit there by yourself. For real. No rest for the wicked. I'm done. Like, there he is, Ted Cruz. We saw Robert Garcia as a casino. Lindsey Graham holding a freaking bubble wand at Disney World. His old gay self. What are you doing? It was the creepiest image I've ever seen. It was very creepy. But all of you, again, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. Shame on you. You should be going to Congress and just sitting there all day to show that you are with the American people. And you're going to suffer like we're suffering because you're still getting paid. It seems like it's America last with a lot of these people, and I'm done with that. And I don't have to tolerate it, and you don't have to either. And we can do something about the Muslim incursion, and we can do something about the border, and we can do something about all this welfare and all this fraud. We can if we have the will. And we can do it within the confines of our Constitution. These people have used our Constitution against us. Well, we need to use our Constitution against them. And that includes the demons out there who are hissing in your face when you want to say that men can't be women, them too. We need to use the Constitution against them too. California, we have a lot of work to do. It's looking great here. I mean, I don't want to say great. I don't want to give anybody false hope. It's looking good. Better than it's looked in the past for this gubernatorial race coming up. Steve Hilton is leading the pack. And of course, every Democrat outlet is reporting it as no front runner has emerged. No, Steve's pretty much been leading from jump. Almost from jump. California, we have a chance to change things here. Spencer Pratt is running for mayor in LA. He's getting a lot of play. I have also told you about Tish Hyman. I really like her, honestly. And I'm not an LA voter. I can't vote in Los Angeles City, so this is not my fight. And I like to amplify both of them. I think this will be for the LA voters to decide. I think she's got an uphill battle because this is a name recognition game at this point, and Spencer has more of it. But regardless, what a joy it is to see two competent, really great and determined people who are there because they're offended. They are mad. You know, it's great to see two candidates like that running and having a chance. Things are changing here in California, but I want all you Californians to know that you have a place in it too. And it's just not at the ballot box, although you need to get there because it needs to be too big to rig. You need to get to the ballot box. This needs to be too big to rig. And then next election cycle, we can have voter ID, right? So we need to get there. It's got to be too big to rig. But the other thing you need to do is what I did. Do what I did. Go pray somewhere. Go stake out territory for the Lord. Do not back down at school. Pray. Go, you know what? Go to your school board meeting. Go to your city council meeting. And instead of giving a comment, give a prayer. Watch the demons. You know what I mean? And then watch, you'll see the demons will spit right away. And they'll start spitting right away. And then you can identify these people. And some of them might even be sitting on your city council. And then you know how to deal with them. Then you know a little more about who they really are. But that's my challenge to you. Start going out there, Christians. Start praying. Have you seen these Muslims in Texas bringing their prayer rugs to pray in front of churches? It'll be in your algorithm now that I've said it out loud. Yeah, man, they're not backing down. They're aggressive. They know what they're doing, and they know what we won't let ourselves do. But again, flipping over tables is an option. And Peter had a sword with him, and he cut off somebody's ear. And what did Jesus say? He said, put that sword away. He didn't say, swords are bad. Why do you have one, Peter? You don't need a sword to protect you. We're Christians and we're just supposed to be nice. He didn't say that. That's not what he said. He said, put that sword away. Because this is the path of the Son of Man right now. This is the path I have to take. And if you stop me from taking this, you're working for the enemy. There's plenty of biblical language. The armor of God, everybody, we read that oh, isn't this so sweet? The symbolic, the breastplate of righteousness, the sword of the word, and the belt of truth. But that's the language of war. Those are shields. Those are weapons of war. We're at war. We're at war, not just against Islam. I don't want this to be the anti-Islam podcast. That's not what I'm trying to do. This is just an experience that I had that is sitting very heavily on my heart, and that's going viral right now on X. So it's on my mind. But we're at war in a lot of different ways. And here's my challenge to you. Stake your space. Stake your land. Don't get pushed out of a place because someone's making you feel uncomfortable. If you see boys at your girls' basketball game competing on the other team, don't sit there in the stands and go, oh my gosh, can you imagine that's happening? Be the person bold enough to stand up and say, that's a boy, and invite other people to do it with you. I know you're going to feel stupid. I know you'll feel rejected, and you might cost your child something. You might cost yourself something. But Americans, we're soft. See, our enemies are willing to pay the cost. They're willing to pay the price, and we're not. So everybody needs to start asking themselves, what price am I willing to pay to set things right? Stand up and tell the truth. Tell the truth to shame the devil. Wherever you are, wherever you see injustice, wherever you see it, stand up, pray, say your prayers out loud in public, in the public square. Preach the word out loud in public, in the public square. You know what? If you see someone struggling in public, ask if you can pray for them. Most people will say, yeah. Don't ask the crazy homeless people on Skid Row if you can pray for them. That's the job of a very specific minister, right? You can't just put yourself in harm's way. You have to feel called to something. So I do want to say that. You have to be called to something, and we're all called to different mission fields, different battlefields. I feel like this mic is my mission field. I've always felt that way. My pen, my microphone. That's why the Kira you get is very honest. And that's why the Kira, I'm not famous. I don't have a ton of followers. I never have. I've been doing this job for almost 20 years. I've never had that for all the work I've done and all the content, but I'm good at what I do. It's not that I'm not good. It's because this is the lane I stay in. I'm not trying to be in anyone else's lane. I'm trying to be a truth teller. And I want you to stand up and tell the truth. That's what this book, Drawing Lines, I wrote it in 2022, but it's more relevant than ever. It is about, and I wrote it in the dark ages. I wrote it when we didn't have hope on the horizon, when we thought maybe this is what we were looking at for the rest of America's life. I wrote it for you to say, stand up where you are. Don't allow yourself to be pushed back any further. Here and no further. Be brave, be bold, be courageous. If God is for you, who can be against you? I want to get to this story before we close out for the day. California news. Let's do number 6. Chad Bianco. GOP sheriff in California pauses election probe as legal challenges grow. Okay, so Chad Bianco is the other challenger, the other Republican challenger in the race next to Steve Hilton here in California. He's a Riverside sheriff, a Christian man who a lot of people liked because he kind of held the line on some things in Riverside. He's got some controversy because he did bend the knee for BLM. I did write about it at justkieradavis.com. And again, he'll tell you he's trying to pray, but you just need to watch the video yourself. I'm not even going to influence you. You just watch the video and make your own assessment. Okay. But that's a thorn in his side that's out there. He also is unable to stand on a debate stage with all of the other candidates. So he skipped the debate, and then the last debate was canceled. And I think he was happy about that. So that's giving me more. I keep saying Chad's a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure. I don't know how good it is. He knows he can't win. And he knows Steve is winning and can sail to victory, and he's staying in the race. He's not putting California first, I don't think. So he sees Steve's getting all the headlines because he's crushing every Democrat out there. He doesn't back down from a single, Steve has not backed down from a single challenge. I'm not saying this just because I'm his friend. He has not backed down from one single challenge. And I'm at number 3 for Chad so far in this race. Steve has not backed down from a single one. So I think Bianco needed something, and he is sheriff. You know, if I was on his campaign team, I think it's kind of dirty, but I don't think you should be able to use your political office to run for office. But if I was his campaign team, I'd be telling him, you should be using what you're doing in Riverside more. Or you should be using this power in Riverside to make some noise more. So he seized the ballots. I'll read. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco said in a statement Saturday his office has put the investigation on hold. Okay, let me go down here. Bianco previously said that the investigation and the seizure of more than 650,000 ballots cast in the November election was legal and approved by a Riverside County judge. He doubled down last week by taking more ballots from a county election office after receiving orders from Bonta's office. Bonta is our attorney general. We hate him. Vote for Michael Gates. In June, Bonta's office said Monday it will continue its petitions with the California Supreme Court and the Superior Court. And our election law is clear that voted ballots are to remain in the custody of election officials, and nothing the sheriff has presented changes that basic rule, Sonny Walknin, an attorney with the group, said in a statement. Okay, so the sheriff seized these ballots in his county. I mean, you know, there's no argument here that there's a lot of cheating going on in California, and you may recall that we've been voting on the redistricting. I mean, that failed. Lots of local ballots. Anyways, he seized them. And that's really probably what needs to happen in California. We need to seize a lot of these ballots and recount. Great. As a Steve Hilton supporter, I'm not a fan of him using his office to campaign. As a Californian, thrilled that he seized those ballots. But you know what? Again, I have been saying this whole time, I think Chad's a good guy. I just think he's got a lot invested, and I'm not sure anymore. I'm really not. You couple this with the debate skipping, that fiasco. I don't know why he does that. That fiasco of at the Trump rally when he arrested that guy who had guns in he was a hunter. He had weapons in his trunk, and he told the sheriff when he was moving through the checkpoint that he had these. He was coming back from a hunting trip, and the sheriff arrested him and then made a big deal, acting like he saved Trump from another assassination attempt. And that guy is still in court. Trying to clear his name. You can find him on X. So there's that. But again, I kind of was like, all right, well, maybe that's sort of a personal thing. You know, I don't know. He didn't like Chad Bianco. I don't know. But I just think I'm an intelligent woman, everybody, and I read patterns. And when Chad acquiescing, capitulating to that BLM crowd, I watched them in that video scream at him. This is what really turned my stomach, because I had always watched a video with no sound. And to me, I think he could have made a case that he was praying. I watched it with no sound. It wasn't until I watched the video with sound and they were screaming at him. They were ordering him to take the knee. And that's the way they framed it. Take the knee, take the knee, take the knee. The man in front of him never took the knee with him. He allowed Chad to bow down in front of him, crotch level. Take the knee, take the knee. And Chad took the knee. And that as a Black woman, that actually made me very uneasy. It made me very uneasy because I see the destruction of white guilt, how that can destroy the law, the rule of law and order. And I find it very distasteful. If you've never read White Guilt by Shelby Steele, you should. It'll change your life. And I do find white guilt to be a very destructive political tool. And that's what I thought Chad was engaging in. But now that I was happy he took those ballots, but now he's given those ballots up. Now he's dropped it. See, what did I say? And I got a lot of blowback from people, from Chad fans when I wrote this. And I said, and I know it sounded harsh at the time, but I said, if he's willing to kneel in front of a mob that demands he take the knee, quote, that he take the knee. If he is so weak, he would kneel in front of them after just a little bit of pressure. Who else would he kneel to if he went to the supermajority legislature in Sacramento? And it's pressure. It's a pressure cooker up there. That's why Steve's plan is brilliant. He's trying to go with a team. So he's got some backup there. It's a brilliant plan. The golden ticket is a brilliant plan. Everybody should be voting for it. I don't even know what's controversial at this point. But, I just realized that I don't think we can count on Chad to hold the line. I really don't. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm not trying to be cruel to a Christian brother in Christ. My sister in Christ, Sonia Shaw, loves Chad, and I know she's not happy with me. I told her to come over to Steve's team. I think she needs to be on the golden ticket, but she loves Chad. That's my Christian brother. Okay, great. I believe that, but I just don't think Chad is the guy. I don't think he is the guy who can stand in front of pressure, because that seizure of that 650,000 ballots, that could have been a game changer for all of us. If he had held the line on that, that could have been a game changer. Watch him get every spot on every broadcast, on every conservative broadcast. Right now, Steve's got all that. Chad gets a little. Steve's got all that. And yeah, Fox News is friendly to Steve because he's a former host. But they've had Chad on there, and they would, if he was doing something incredibly important, like what he purported to be doing in Riverside, but then he gave it up. So what else is he going to give up when we send him to Sacramento? People, this is not politics as usual, and we are not in a normal election cycle. We're all going to have to do things we don't want to do. We're all going to have to make decisions we don't want to make. We're all going to have to be mean to people we don't want to be mean to. But here's what's going to happen. All you people that are out there arguing Chad, Steve, bitching at me because I support Steve and I don't support Chad and I won't support Chad. And I can say whatever I want from my platform. Everybody, I can say whatever I want. I'm under no obligation to be even-handed. I'm not a journalist. I'm an opinion journalist. Yes, Robin, I love you so much. I love that you come and yell at me on my page. I genuinely do. And actually, I'm really grateful you did, because it gives me, it gives me a reason to be telling everybody this. And please keep coming. I love Robin. She's the best. Please keep coming to my page and being angry with me, because it helps me get a gauge on, what people are thinking, but it gives me the opportunity to remind people that I'm under no obligation to be even-handed. I'm not a journalist. I'm an opinion journalist. I research stories and then I render an opinion on it. It's an actual job. It's made me good money over the years. So I just think it's time for everybody to understand the moment that we are in. You are going to have to make decisions that don't necessarily feel 100% to you. And if I thought, and I mean this with every fiber of my being, if I thought Chad Bianco was going to be the guy who could face all of these Democrats and win, I'd be supporting Chad. And in fact, when I thought he was going to be the only guy in the race, before I knew if Steve was going to get in, I was like, great, Chad's cool. The parents love him. My mom friends love him. If I thought Chad was going to win, I would be Team Chad, but he's not going to win. He can't win. All he can do now is actually prevent any Republican from moving forward. So I think it is indicative of the kind of candidate he is, that he made a big deal of that seizure and then quietly let it go. And I think Chad supporters need to think about that. All right, that's my view. You give me yours. You can drop it in the comments. I'm not very sensitive. I am equal opportunity offender and equal opportunity offended. Drop them in the comments. I'm a big girl. You saw that I just hustled my way into a chapel and forced the Muslims to pray with me. So I'm not afraid of a little pushback. I'm not. But what I am afraid of is losing California, because this is my home. This is where I've raised my family. And this is the most beautiful state in the union, in my opinion. And we still have so much to give. And I actually do believe we can reclaim this land, this state, as crazy as it is. I actually believe we can claim it back for Christ. I do. I think we can defeat, well, yeah, I think we can, the abortion is codified. Now we have a constitutional amendment. Oh, Lord, forgive us, mercy. We can defeat that too. If and when we have the will. I don't know this incoming group, that's definitely not what this group is campaigning on right now. We have other issues, but I think in the future we could have a governor. If we win this, we could in the future have a governor who would take on that challenge. I think we can reclaim this state for Christ. I'd like to invite you to do that with me and stand in all your public spaces for the Lord and stand for California. All right, drop everything in the comments. Follow us everywhere. Do all the things. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, we do lives we didn't do Monday because I was getting back from CPAC, but we do lives Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Friday is a compilation show for the Orange County crowd. So you just follow us everywhere at Orange Report or OC, or follow me, Kira Davis, wherever you see me. I will see you again soon. And until we meet again, just remember, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So bring on the sunshine.